Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to another day in Destiny 2 for some more Destiny 2 news and Beyond Light, Season of the Chosen Intel. And we got a pretty big video, lots of stuff to cover today because the PRESAGE Master difficulty is now available in the game. So you can finish out all those triumphs that you saw available that you weren't able to actually do, as well as go for the new Dead Man's Tale Catalyst. The Catalyst is pretty crazy. The gun as it is actually really good, so I think this Catalyst will actually just improve it a lot. It actually gives increased hipfire rate of fire and removes hipfire accuracy penalties. So the way you acquire the new Catalyst is you have to complete the PRESAGE mission on the new Master difficulty in a time frame of 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you will be pushed back to orbit and you will have to try again. The other thing that's also available this week is the second secret cache chest. So the first thing I will cover is actually how to get the secret cache, and then we will get into a glitch that will help you with the time in this particular mission. So if you're just going for the secret chest, it's actually fairly close to the beginning of this actual whole thing, right after the outdoor jumping puzzle. Not too far, actually, after the last cache from last week. Right before you actually drop down and can open the big door, there's a scanner right above another trapdoor, which will actually open once you hit the scanner. So if you just need that, watch, and we'll pick it up once we get to that point. And do keep in mind that this will actually phase out if left too long, so maybe don't activate the scanner until you have all your teammates, if you are doing this in a fire team, fairly close. But that's it for the secret cache. Now the secret cache also helps in charging the catalyst, which you will hopefully have at the time. You'll need to have had this or need to have acquired it before you can actually open the cache for this week. Also, killing enemies will help charge the catalyst, but you can get at least 12% from one of these secret caches, and it does backdate to last week. Now, the next thing we will cover is a time glitch for the actual PRESAGE mission itself. Now, I had actually figured this out, I think, in the first week. Actually, my buddy Sinister, who's also doing this with me today, had actually found this initially. We both kind of thought it was actually the way you went, but it was actually just a way to get out of the map. Now, I've done this several times, and though you can get out of the map and actually get back in and save yourself some time, if you're doing this by yourself, you'll actually run into a point where enemies do not spawn and you can't progress. But I had an idea. What if one person went over the wall, triggered the door, another person waited by the door, and then the two could essentially get a head start while the other third person ran around the normal way and triggered the checkpoint, as it was only one checkpoint. This did work, and we were able to just progress ahead. Now, we won't be ahead by the end. I would actually suggest making sure that one person in your fire team is a hunter with invis, because it allows you to skip a lot of enemies. We had 2 hunters in this group. But what this did allow me to do was it allowed me to get to certain points where I could sort of clear the way enough for my teammates to then trigger another point that they wouldn't have necessarily had to the time to do, or more time to do. So essentially they wouldn't have to wait as long, and then they can progress ahead. So we sort of leapfrog back and forth. Like, for example, in this situation, I was able to take out all the ads in this room, and then I could run to the switch, trigger the switch, and by the time my teammate got here, he could just hit the box and move through the poison section. So that's the way you do it. And then obviously have, I would say, your lead person be a hunter, because the ability to go invis, and I believe with one of the new exotic chests, though I can't remember the name of which one at the moment, there's a fairly incredible invis build that lets you go invis almost infinitely. So they can, at least if you get held up at any later point, move forward to the boss room, and then once you're in the boss room, you can get pulled to the boss room. The only other section that you would probably want more than one person if you can, unless of course you're doing this by yourself, is the trash compactor room, the Star Wars room as I like to call it. That room you definitely want to try to get through before it crushes you, obviously, but if you have trouble getting all the nodes in the first run through with the ads in the room, you can actually take out the ads first, and then if you stand in the middle of the room opposite where the switch is on the wall, you can actually all crowd in that one spot and you will not die. The trash compactor will come all the way in, but you will actually just sort of phase underneath it. Your feet will be underneath it, at least. I'm not exactly sure how that glitch works, but you'll stay alive there, and it saves time versus people having to run back in after dying. Just a way, if you're doing it solo, I think it'll come in handier, but just in a way to survive if you run into trouble, or if you're doing this under leveled, as I was in this case. I was only 1286 maybe. Luckily, Sinister was, I believe, 1320, and Fluffy Noodles was, I believe, 1306. So big shout out to both of them for giving me a hand with this. So at this point we've sort of all caught up, but we've moved forward collectively a lot quicker because we were able to sort of leapfrog. And that's really all the major information as far as the jumping puzzle and the time glitch. But there is another great cheese spot for the boss. So I'm going to let the rest of the gameplay play out now. Once we get to the boss, I'll show you where we like to phase him down from. We were all running Anarchy, I believe, in this run. I would say Anarchy is probably one of those things you're going to definitely want to bring with you. A Wither Horde is also pretty good. Grenade launchers in general are good. Anything that can actually bounce, because part of this will involve shooting grenades off of a wall so that you don't actually have to get near the boss and you can actually stay in cover. And obviously the Anarchy, just because it can do damage over time. So we'll see you once we get to the boss. Thanks so much for watching to this point. And of course, on our way to the boss, I just want to remind everybody, I'm still doing the giveaway on my YouTube channel at 50,000 subscribers. We're doing a Destiny Seasonal Pass Deluxe giveaway. I can't remember what the highest one is, but that's what we're doing at 50,000. So if you don't have any of the expansions, or maybe if you don't have Xbox Game Pass, but if you do have that, of course, we'll do something equivalent at 50,000. But all you have to do to be entered into that giveaway is like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the notifications, the bell right next to the big red subscribe button, and follow me on Instagram or Twitter. They'll be linked in the description box down below. One thing I did want to mention about this room, which definitely seemed to be one of the more difficult rooms. This is where you're going to probably just lose the most time, expect to lose the most time, I would say, in this room. But there is a very interesting spot in the middle where I am. Behind me, you'll see these computer panels. If you jump behind them, all ads will actually turn away and run back towards the center room. So it is kind of a place to just hide out. The unfortunate thing about it is that you get a joining allies barrier, which actually is kind of a good and bad thing, because if you are really stuck, when you get the joining allies barrier, as you'll see me do here, joining allies, you'll actually be warped back to the initial spawn point. So this is a way where you can kind of just sort of loop spawn kills if you need to, if you're doing it under level or if you were doing it by yourself, and also it provides cover. So I kind of like to stay out in this area, especially since I was so underleveled, and just try to take out the ads on top and then do damage to the ones on the side by using Anarchy to just kind of do all the AoE damage. And if I got into too much trouble, well, luckily I did have teammates. But like I said, that would probably be the best spot. So we'll talk again at the boss, unless there's anything else I think of on the way between here and there, but I don't necessarily think there is. We were doing pretty good on time at this point, so again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you once we get to the boss. Okay, now as we've entered the boss room, once you do that first phase and he actually goes downstairs, I would actually recommend holding out on this corner because there's this one pipe that you can jump up on, which as you just saw will make the Screebs leave. And there's also barrels that you can hide behind that pretty much between the pipe and the barrels will block all fire that you'll get from the left side and most from the right, at least all direct damage. You might get some splash damage once in a while. I would recommend obviously hitting the 2 switches on either side before you go to the one in the middle, because then the one in the middle will shut off the fire so that you don't have to worry about trying to get out of the room. I was using the, I forget the name, but essentially I was getting health back when I would melee a guy, so you can sort of do that, I guess. The Kerenstein armlets, that's what I was using as my exotic gauntlets. So that kind of keeps me alive, but you can also, there's several things you can do. It's not really that big a deal on how to stay alive in that room. But definitely stay up on that top left corner. For the boss, as you can see, I would definitely move to this side. This is the side of the room where the boss actually is when you come into the room. And there's a pipe that kind of wedges out from the platform and looks down. You can get hit by certain splash damage from the boss. But only if he does a like big whomp right underneath. I have noticed that if you were by yourself or if you don't have anybody else actually shoot the boss, if somebody stands right on that one particular pipe, you can actually do damage to him and he won't even move. He won't attack. He kind of just stays in the middle of the room. So you can shoot him with a bunch of anarchy and just, you know, melt him down slowly. You'll only be the one person, but it won't move. If you're doing by yourself, I would say that's probably the only option. Either way, in a group, I would just say just hold off, or when you do damage to the boss, just do it on that side because you can use that pipe and it sort of draws them a little bit closer. It sort of also makes the ads sort of wig out a little bit. And also the ones that spawn in the top, unless they're shooting at you, the ones that would come over and hit you with the lamps won't. They'll just kind of come and then turn back around. They won't actually come and hit you there. So if you do all those things, you should end this with a fairly good amount of time left. I mean, I think we had over 4 minutes, and we weren't a particularly good group. I mean, we weren't going for any real, records here. We were just trying to get through it and get through it efficiently. And I was just thinking that this is probably the best way or the easiest way for 3 casual people to get this done as quickly as possible. And if you're going for a speed run, I don't think there's a way you can beat that door. Not just for saving time for people who are casual, because it is a fairly easy glitch to do. I mean, maybe one practice run and you'll be able to get it, but overall it's pretty easy. But if you're going for a speed run, I think that also will probably save you the most time, just because it's the most direct route. Granted, you have to have one person run around, but we weren't actually skipping all the enemies that you can skip in certain places. There's plenty where you can, and there were times where I would wait for one person or another. We weren't going the absolute fastest we could possibly go. So if you had 3 hunters, for example, you could probably skip through most of this almost doubly fast and maybe have 8 to 10 minutes left by the end. So thanks so much for watching all the way to this point in the video. As some people might know, I do sort of a hashtag, or sometimes I'll do a trivia question, or a secret like word or clue or question towards the end of the videos. So for the secret question that you can leave the answer to in today's video, I'm going to think. Let me think. What was the name? Okay, in this particular, in the Presage mission, there was, I believe, a ghost of one of the Guardians who I believe is currently still selling his wares in the bazaar. What was the name of that ghost? This is kind of an actual Destiny-related question. I'm just thinking this up off the spot, so bear with me if you don't think that's challenging enough, but I actually didn't know this until somebody actually told me. So leave the answer down in the comment section down below. That's for a second entry for this video into the 50,000K giveaway. Remember that stacks between all videos, so if you haven't done a secret question or hashtag in a previous video, you can head back, check out another video. There's a lot of still relevant stuff as far as exploits and glitches in Destiny 2 still available from a lot of that previous content, so even some stuff from last season. Hopefully you can get your Dead Man's Tale catalyst fairly easy. One other little tidbit that I'll suggest is that if you are trying to get the catalyst and you don't want to wait for the chests every week, load up the Shiro Chi checkpoint in the Last Wish. I'm sure many people might know this, but some new players might not. Bring some raid banners with you. You can actually queue up the checkpoint on the wish wall if you're a new player and go to this point, and there's a door that you can continually open that just spews ads out that you can just, you know, mercilessly slay to get your catalyst a lot faster. And then when you gone through the waves of enemies that pour out of this door, you can then just jump off the nearby ledge, kill yourself, spawn back in right at the beginning of the door with a fresh raid banner that you can plant and get all your ammo, anything you need back. So once again, thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. Of course, I am Wilhelm Scream. And as always, we will see you next time. Little